In the small town of Mapleford, where mornings smelled of fresh bread and evenings glowed with warm lantern light, lived a man named Ishan Verma. He wasn't rich and he wasn't powerful, but everyone in town knew him because Ishan was kind. He ran a tiny repair shop on Willow Street, fixing watches, radios, old lamps, and anything else people brought his way. He charged almost nothing, and if someone couldn't pay, he would just smile and say, "You can pay me with a smile today, and kindness to someone else tomorrow." And that was how Ishan lived. Not by making money, but by making people's lives a little bit easier. One rainy afternoon, a small girl named Mira came into Ishan's shop, clutching a broken doll. "Uncle, can you fix her arm?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Papa says it's too broken." Ishan looked at the doll. Its arm was cracked. One eye was missing, and its dress was torn. He smiled warmly. "Nothing is ever too broken, little one. Give me some time." He spent the rest of the day sewing, gluing, and gently painting until the doll looked almost new. When Mira returned the next morning, her eyes lit up with joy. "How much, uncle?" she asked. Ishan smiled. "Just promise me you will always take care of her and never throw her away when she's old." The little girl nodded, holding the doll tightly to her chest. Years later, even as a grown woman, Mira would still keep that doll. One cold winter night, the rain poured down, leaving the streets nearly empty. Ishan was just about to close his shop when he noticed a man shivering at the bus stop. The man's clothes were soaked, and his hands trembled with cold. Without a second thought, Ishan grabbed an old blanket and a cup of hot tea and rushed outside. "Here, drink this," he said softly. The man looked up, surprised. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Ishan just shrugged. "I don't need to know you to care." The man took the tea, and tears welled up in his eyes. He confessed he had been jobless for months, living on the streets. Ishan gave him an old jacket and a little money, telling him where he could find a warm shelter for the night. As Ishan locked his shop later, he felt a quiet joy in his heart, the kind that comes not from what you get, but from what you give. Months passed, and life in Mapleford continued peacefully. But one morning, everything changed. As Ishan was crossing the road to deliver a repaired clock, a speeding car came out of nowhere. People screamed. The car screeched to a halt, but it was too late. Ishan lay unconscious on the ground. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors worked tirelessly to save him. News of the accident spread through Mapleford like wildfire. Within hours, the hospital was filled with people, shopkeepers, school children, street vendors, and even strangers, all waiting anxiously, their hearts heavy with worry. They brought food, money, and prayers. Mira, now a teenager, stood quietly in the corner, holding the very doll he had fixed for her all those years ago. When Ishan finally opened his eyes days later, the doctor smiled at him. "You're a lucky man, Mr. Verma. The whole town seems to love you." Ishan managed a weak smile. "Then I am the richest man alive." After he recovered, something incredible happened. The man Ishan had once helped at the bus stop came back to see him. He was now well dressed, with a good job at a respectable company. He was carrying a beautiful, newly carved wooden sign for Ishan's shop. It read, "The House of Kind Hands." The man said, "Sir, I owe you my life. You showed me kindness when the world had forgotten me. Please let me do this one thing for you." Ishan was moved to tears. He gratefully accepted the sign. And from that day on, people came to his shop, not just to fix their clocks or radios, but to find a little bit of hope. Every year, the town held a festival. That year, the mayor announced something special. Standing on the stage, he said, "There are people who build wealth, and there are people who build the world. Today, we honor a man whose kindness has become the very heart of Mapleford, Mr. Ishan Verma. The crowd erupted in applause. Flowers rained down, and children cheered. Ishan stood there, humbled and shy, his eyes shining. He spoke softly into the microphone. Kindness is not a favor, it's a seed. You plant it, and someday, it grows in another heart. The audience fell silent for a moment, letting his words sink in, and then clapped even louder than before. Years went by. Ishan grew older, his hair turning silver, but his spirit remained as bright as ever. The sign, House of Kind Hands, still hung proudly outside his little shop, though the paint had faded with time. Then, one morning, Ishan didn't open his shop. His neighbors knocked on his door, and getting no answer, went inside. They found him sitting peacefully in his chair, his tools neatly arranged on his workbench, a gentle smile on his face, as if he had just finished fixing something beautiful. The whole town mourned his passing, but instead of sadness, there was a profound sense of gratitude, because Ishan hadn't just repaired clocks and dolls, he had mended hearts. That evening, the people of Mapleford lit candles all along Willow Street. A small boy looked up at his mother and asked, "Mama, why are we doing this?" His mother replied, "Because once there lived a man who taught us that kindness never dies." The real lesson of Ishan's life is this: kindness costs nothing, yet it is the richest gift you can ever give. When you leave this world, it's not your wealth that people will remember. It's how you made them feel. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more.